St. Louis, Mayor Tasharo Jones. I'm glad to see everyone here. This has been about a year in the making, this commission and this public meeting. This was about a year effort in the making, and I'm glad to see it come to fruition. And so I just want to welcome you all here this evening, to this event. And this came about from an executive order, but it was community driven the entire time. And the commissioners will endeavor to do the same thing. They will be able to speak for themselves here shortly, but I wanted to make sure that everyone had an agenda, the introductory letter that was written. If you don't, one can be provided for you. And I wanted to thank Harris-Stowe State University for allowing, in particular, President Colin Smith and her administration for being so supportive of us this evening. So we give them a round of applause. And I want to thank you for being here too. Your patience is appreciated, and we're going to try to catch up with our agenda as you see it written. The next voice you will hear will be from the commissioners themselves, and I will let them introduce themselves, but thank you all for being here, and we'll go over house rules as they come up, and this concludes my part of the program.
Good evening. My name is Kayla Reed. I have the pleasure of serving on the Reparations Commission with these amazing people as the chair for the next year. So really excited to be with you. We'll talk to you a lot over the next 12 months and excited to hear from you all. I also wanted to just first say we're excited that you are here. This commission was seated in March and we are mandated to have public meetings each month for the next year in service of creating part, and we'll take that from you. And just a quick overview of the agenda for today. So I'm going to go over the agenda. We're inside of it. And what we're going to do is meet the Reparations Commission. We're going to review the executive order number 75 that was signed by Mayor Tasharo Jones in December. We're going to talk to you very briefly about our plan and timeline for the next year that we're going to be together. Then we're going to open up the conversation to you all to hear from you about your watching state legislatures across this country actively erase the history of Black people and the struggle of our communities. Conversations and these meetings will serve both as a place of learning and collaboration so that we can build a report and recommendation that will actually move our city. Thank you all for being here. Again, I'm Kayla Reed, and I will pass it to the commission to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon. It certainly is my pleasure to welcome you all. Really looking forward to your feedback on this. I'm Dr. Will Ross. I serve as the Vice Chair of the Commission. In my day job, I'm a professor at the Washington University School of Medicine and Associate Dean for Diversity and a principal officer for community partnerships. So I engage a lot in our university in our public health and community engagement efforts. So thank you for being here.
Hello, everyone. I'm William Foster. I'm a resident of the city, and I work as an external auditor, serving on the commission on my own behalf.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome. My name is Gwen Moore. I'm a curator at the Missouri Historical Society, and my area of research is the Black experience, the local Black experience in the region.
Good evening. I'm Reverend Kevin D. Anthony, and I currently serve with the Ecumenical Leadership Council of St. Louis. And my purpose for serving with the commission, because I do think that there's something to be said when people's lives have been disrupted, that they can find healing and justice beyond the trauma that they have experienced. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Franks. I am a lawyer, and during my daytime job, I am a business owner, local business owner, and I look forward to hearing all you all's comments and being part of this community-driven process.
Hi everyone, my name is Jada Brooks. I am a youth ministry leader. I am also a mental health advocate and a youth advocate, and I also attend the illustrious Harris State University as a communication student.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Cunningham. I'm a professor and chair of sociology at Washington University in St. Louis. I do research that focuses on histories and legacies of racialized violence, and in particular, restorative justice efforts towards repair, and really pleased to be able to be doing that in our home of St. Louis.
Good evening. My name is Delisha George. I am serving as the secretary for the commission, and I am, in my day job, program manager for the Deaconess Foundation. And thank you all for joining us this evening.
I want to briefly share with you the executive order, charge of this commission, the charge to you as citizens of St. Louis to really hold us accountable. And I don't want to read this. Essentially, it's just a historic time. Is an acknowledgement of the historic wrongs that have been, unfortunately, thrust upon the African American community for decades, if not centuries. And there's an opportunity to really talk about social justice and restorative justice, to review those wrongs in the context of slavery, Jim Crow, and so many other unfortunate policies that have relegated African Americans to living in communities that have been disadvantaged, underserved, and creating, unfortunately, an inability of some members of our community to not reach their full potential. This is an opportunity through this executive order to really bring this to light, to hear from you about the injustices that you personally witness, or your family, or your historic family, to really have us collate all of these stories, compile these stories, and to, at the end of this, really condense this into a report, which will be provided to the mayor, to the Board of Aldermen, for action. We don't know what's going to be in that final report. It's going to depend on you. But we really do appreciate candor, openness, and transparency in this process as we come to this historic moment for St. Louis. So thank you for being here and being part of this.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. Just also want to say that, one paragraph, if I may, I'm sorry, just ask you to scoot up just so I can see it. We are mandated to study the history of race-based harms in the city, and it does require us to meet monthly, so we will see you each month. And the reparations order, again, is number 75. The entire memo can be found on the city's website. So we wanted to talk a little bit about our plan over the next 12 months. This is our first meeting. We have 11 more to go, and a lot of work to do in between those meetings. So one, just want to acknowledge the labor and time of this volunteer commission that we're going to spend together. We're already very close. We talk most days, and we'll continue to do so. But it's not just going to be the 9 of us that are convening. We are going to be building out structures to make sure that the community can participate in the process over the next year. So we have completely missed that. So sorry. So we have just a few points that we wanted to lay out around the 3 phases that we've sort of organized our thinking around the next 12 months. Phase 1 is the phase that we're currently in. We're calling it community engagement and co-learning. So we're going to spend a lot of time listening to the public. We encourage you to tell your family, your friends, your networks about these meetings, because those public comments are going to help us sort of shape the area focuses the report will delve into. So we're going to experience some deep listening from community members, presentations from local and national experts. That will start in meeting 2. So we'll have both local folks, some folks maybe on the commission and in our city, and some national who've actually studied St. Louis come in and talk about different areas that we are thinking through around reparations. And then we're also going to begin to develop our working groups around those area focuses. In phase 2, we're sort of calling that analysis and recommendations. So we have to develop a report and recommendations. We're not going to try to write that in February of next year. We got to start that process right away. So phase 2, we're going to start to bring those analyses together, recommendations together to identify the themes, develop the report framework, and the working groups that were developed in phase 1 will begin to meet to develop that report and those recommendations. And then the 3rd phase, which you cannot see, but is there, is summary. So we want to have a draft of the report to actually spend multiple meetings in feedback and active listening around the report before it is finalized and submitted to the mayor and the board of aldermen with its recommendations. So those are sort of the 3 sections we're hoping to do, and need you out through all of them. And at any point in your public comments, you can give us feedback on that. I skipped a portion of the agenda that I wanted to make sure we go back to before we go to public comment. So Commission Member Jada Brooks is going to come and read the letter that we sent you, that we provided for you today.
Dear St. Louis, on March 10, 2023, Mayor Tashara O. Jones appointed members of the St. Louis First Reparations Commission established to execute the executive order on reparations that was established on December 2022. The executive order embraces the National Coalitions of Blacks for Reparations in America definition of reparations as a process of repairing, healing, and restoring a people injured because of their group identity and in violation of their fundamental human rights by governors, corporations, institutions, and families. As the appointed volunteer commission, we are charged with assessing history of slavery, segregation, and other race-based harms in the city of St. Louis, exploring the present-day manifestations of history, and ultimately recommending a proposal to begin repairing the harms that have been inflicted on Black St. Louisans and the descendants of enslaved peoples. The community-driven process is modeled after the Ferguson's Commission, which showed us how an experiment in inclusive democracy functions. Consequently, the Commission should endeavor to model its engagement in public conversation similarly. The Commission consists of 9 members. Each of us live in the city of St. Louis and represent different backgrounds, including civil rights advocate, clerk, clergy members, attorneys, academics, public health professionals, and youth. We recognize that reparations raise a wide range of difficult and challenging questions that can only be answered through a robust public dialogue. We are not structured to simply write and deliver recommendations, but rather to solicit input and recommendations for the public and from experts, then release a draft recommendations for public commitment before finalizing its recommendations to the mayor and the board of aldermen. This process is designed to be a robust, transparent, community engaged, and in the spirit of restorative justice. In accordance with the executive order, the Reparations Commission shall hold our first public meeting on April 24, 2023. During this first meeting, we hope to focus on defining reparations, laying out the expectations of the executive order, rolling out the overview of the phases, and providing a space for community visioning for the commission and recommendations. We want to make clear our intentions is to serve our community. We are ready to work together and to listen to other residents' concerns and questions, while also taking in information from experts in several fields related to our charge. Our goal is to be of use to the city of St. Louis as servant leaders in the best sense possible, listening, studying, and developing solutions to the harms that have long plagued our city, and some of its residents. Those recommendations can be shared publicly before final recommendations and are submitted to the Board of Aldermen and Mayor's office. We will invite public feedback. We will approach our work not simply as policy entrepreneurs, but as facilitators responsible for guiding a process designed to include a wide range of perspectives and experiences into transformation. We are excited to launch this process, and we look forward to a year of learning together towards transforming St. Louis. Thank you.
Again, good evening to you. We've come to the moment that we have gathered here this evening, and that is to hear from you, the public, those of you who are extremely interested in this work that the commissioners are set forth to do. But before we begin that work, we have a few guidelines that we want you to follow. The first one is each speaker will have 2 minutes to share with the commission, and we ask that everyone please follow and respect this time limit. And what will happen is, as you come and give your comments or questions to the commission, at the end of your 2 minutes, when it has expired, you'll see me raise this red piece of paper here, noting that your time has expired. When you come, please state your name, neighborhood, and any organization after providing public comment. The commission will record any questions from the public, but we will not answer questions at this meeting. There will be additional opportunities for the public to comment with the commission and have other conversations, and written comments can be submitted on the city's website. So we ask that at this time, for those of you who desire to ask questions, have comments, come here to the mic.
Hello to the panel.
Hi.
My name is Josephine Perkins, but to that political arena, I'm known as Joe Perk. I and a few more, I would like to recognize Mr. Eugene Freisen. Mr. Eugene Freisen started out having reparation meetings since 1985. We were doing it at Newstead and Lee. For many years, he had those meetings and he trained us. Susie Parker Mayberry, the daughter of Judge Mayberry, she and I started out together. We later went to Walton and Macmillan, which is the Jolly Seven Social Club. And that's located on, right at the Hodema track. And I like to have their names recognized. Mr. Eugene Freisen, Paki, Zaki Baruti, Mr. Maurice, Susie Parker. These are some of the people that are diligently fought for reparation. And I'm so glad it took them many years. We got a long way to go, but we're going to have reparation. I went to Washington, D.C. to say, if you won't reparate, compensate. I accused America of modern day slavery. I accused America, and I also went to Lansing, state capital. That is our sister state. Any complaints, anything you need heard and said, that's where you go. I went up on Capitol Hill, stayed on that lawn for 2 days to get lead compensation around the country. When I hear what one can't do, excuse my French, damn lie, we can. I am so proud of the fact that this panel is sitting here. I will be at all your meetings. I'm going to dissect everything done and said. We want reparation in this country. We deserve it. The Japanese lost their brain. You reparate it. The Jews that had the Holocaust, you reparate it. Well, modern day slavery still exists. Old North St. Louis is a proven fact. I started out as a 14-year-old fighting with rank and trade and all those students that were not of America. Okay? Now, here's our chance. Let's rock it.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all, can you hear me? Yes. My name is Kennard Williams. I am the organizing manager at Action St. Louis. We're a racial justice organization. As many of you may know, we do a number of campaigns, including abolition, housing justice, and electoral justice. I wanted to speak tonight to the commission. Appreciate it. I wanted to speak tonight to the commission and make sure that housing is not left out of the conversation. Historically in St. Louis, Black people on both the north and the west side have been impacted by systemic racism, gentrification at one point, and then even now, we are dealing with the housing crisis. Historically, we've seen us impacted by systemic racism and redlining, and that has stopped us from being able to build equity and being able to get property and develop our neighborhoods as we want it. And now, with the way eviction has disproportionately impacted Black people, particularly Black women, Black people are still left without the ability to access property, access safe and affordable housing options. And we're left under-resourced and in underdeveloped areas when historically we've continued to have to fight for just the scraps. And I hope that the commission sees this as an opportunity to right a lot of wrongs and actually help us build where we had things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marvina Halton, and I'm here representing the ADOS Advocacy Foundation. We are a national grassroots reparations group, and we advocate for reparations and a transformative Black agenda for those of us who descended from chattel slavery in America. You guys can look us up. We have a website with our
So my backup question is some type of reparation or compensation for the Black businesses that have been affected by the racism here in St. Louis. Myself, I was a contractor at MSD for over 20 years. Got on the wrong side of somebody and ended up successfully suing in 2 lawsuits. But we have an issue here where minority contractors aren't really minority contractors. You may have one Black with a whole gang of white folks or non-Blacks behind it. So we're losing millions of dollars in our community. And I know you guys around here see what I'm talking about. When you drive by and you don't see nobody that looks like us working on these projects. Yeah, yeah. So there's one thing that we need to change back the way it used to be. Our president, I can't think of his name, Brian Hocher, they had a program for Black contractors when we first came in. I first came in 98 while working 30 shift at home as an electrical technician. But they had contracts for $25,000 and under. This helps Black contractors come in. You learn how to estimate, you learn how to build. That way, when you get to the bigger contracts, like I was blessed enough to work with Clayco and build the sewers at the baseball stadium. I was 3 years out of the airport, blessed enough to get that. But it all started with the 25 and under. Your guys come in, they learn to grow. You got one manhole. Once they realize in their mind that they can lay, well, we did one, we can do 10 in a series. You know, it just grows. And we started at the 25 and under, but they eliminated that. And they directly eliminated that due to the way that I speak. You know, I'm a minority contractor, and my employees reflect my minority status. There's not a lot of people that can say that. You'll see a lot of minority contractors around here, but they're not really minority. There's another thing that we need to do and stop. Yeah. Okay. Now, we have this thing where you have to be 51% of your company in order for it to be established as minorities. I'm 100% owned, but I still get the same status as someone that's 51% and their other half is 49%. They're killing us with this. You should not be allowed to be the same with me as 100% and someone else with 51%, because your company's not even 100% minority. We need to change that status. If you're 51% and your partner is 49%, then that needs to be reflected in these contracts, because they are killing us like this. They are killing us like this. And we need to do something about it, because, like I said, I can repeat it over and over. They are killing us with this. They go out, one company, started with taking the dump truck driver, making him the president of the company. And for a long time, he was the only Black face in the company other than the secretary. You also, guys, need to get a handle on these unions. You got to ask because you want to save the fuel, which is carbon burning, and this, that, and the other. They steal. Everything is green. The material is green. The equipment is green, but the employees are not green. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Robin Crowley. I'm the founder and executive director of the Descendants of the St. Louis University Enslaved. We're a nonprofit organization here to honor our Jesuit and St. Louis University enslaved ancestors. My first question is, I didn't hear how long this mission was. I wanted to know, how will you ensure that this commission doesn't go away if the mayor's term ends? That's one of my questions. Also, our family was contacted by the Society of Jesus and St. Louis University in 2019 and told that our direct ancestors helped to lay the foundation and build St. Louis University and also of the first Jesuit mission here in St. Louis and other schools and forums. And we wanted to know, how will we hope that you study the Catholic Church, religious institutions, and universities here, and tie that in, because there's a direct correlation. You can see the benefits of forced enslaved labor. You can look downtown and you can see St. Louis University, how they have expanded, how they have grown. We're trying to we are trying to work with St. Louis University so they can acknowledge our enslaved ancestors who helped to build that institution. They have a Jesuit presence on that university, and they need to have our presence acknowledged on the university. So I would like to ask the commission to make sure you include institutions, Catholic and religious institutions, because actually that forced labor laid the economic foundation to St. Louis. Thank you. And you can check out our website, www.theslu.org. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a resident of St. Louis. I live in College Hill. I'm just a resident, and I'm a concerned resident. I'm tired of us jumping loops. We are not dogs, we're not trained dogs, nothing like that. So we should have y'all know, they know what we need, they know what we want. So we need to stop them jumping through loops just to get them to understand where we're coming from. That don't make any sense to me, but we stay jumping loops. All this time we've been doing this, and talking about it, we stay jumping loops. We're not trained for that. We are people, we are community, we are a people of color that we need what we need. And they understand where we're coming from. We should not have jump the roots. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ohana Shea. I have an organization called Floriculture STL. We work for Black-owned businesses in the St. Louis region, as well as investing in the Black community in the St. Louis region. When we talk about reparations, unfortunately, you can unturn every brick in St. Louis and probably find something where Black people deserve reparations. So from housing to business to education to food insecurity, food deserts, all of those things are, I think, necessities when we talk about reparations, and also long term, because we can give somebody something, but how do we sustain it afterwards? And I will also say getting really creative when we talk about reparations, when we talk about those solutions. When people's lives look better, what does that look like in the long term? And getting really creative with that. My only question that I have is the people that are deeply impacted in this city, the people that need reparations, the most are not in this room. So how do we bring them into the room, into the conversation, to make sure that their voices are heard, because they will be the ones that benefit most when we talk about true reparations and healing St. Louis, because I think that's the goal of everyone in this room. So I would just love to hear more about the innovative approach to all Black St. Louis. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Charlotte Gray Caldwell. I came down here because you all were speaking about reparations. I'm sorry that I'm late, but the only thing that I would like to know is what plan you have. And if you have a plan, did you follow some of the plans that the United States followed when they gave reparations to the Japanese? Did you follow some of the plans? Because see, the plans that they had for us are altogether different. We were promised 40 acres and a mule. We were promised 40 acres, but the mule came later. So, if you promised 40 acres to every slave, then the descendants of the slaves should be able to get the 40 acres or some portion of the 40 acres. I am fighting against an 1849 law that says that it is illegal for us, for Black people, to learn how to read and write. I have been trying to open a homework center, not for Black children, just for children, period, and also adults. I am certified with a master's degree in adult education. I have 25 years experience with special education and autism. I've been standing downtown for the last 3 years trying to get my homework center open. Michael Dolphin, Chris Dolphin. Now, another person, two first names, down there, who else? I'm trying to open this homework center. St. Louis. Okay? I am federally, I am state. I have a building in an area that is slated for redevelopment. But because of that, I can get it. And guess who lives on the corner? Burgess Jones lives on the corner. And he used to walk down the street every day. But because he my there, cut a tree down, planted it sideways, the tree grew up into my building. So Burgess Jones don't walk down the street no more. Why? Because it's a 6-inch. I'm walking down the street and I got 6-inch drop. Okay? Now, 5515 case is not for sale. It is a homework center for our children. It does not mean Black children, it means children.
Come on.
Okay? That's what I'm here for. I want to know why I have gotten 2 tax. I've gotten 2 tax bills for a vacant building that they say don't pay tax. It may become guilty, but in the same time, you selling all this property to somebody else. That's why I'm here. I want to know, what are you going to do about 5515 case? I want to know what you're going to do about the 5500 on case, period. Because, see, it's almost down. Okay? And because the visitation is not there anymore, and there are 3 houses on the block, and Mr. Jones lives on the corner, and he stopped walking down the street, make his money. About the reparations, are you going to take to get exactly the reparations? Are you going to do what they did for the Chinese? For the Japanese? We are here, and we are not going anywhere. We are here. You cannot erase us. You cannot do anything. And everybody, all of y'all, we need to work together. All this stuff, everything that's going on, especially with Lil Kim downtown, y'all need to get this together. Straight up.
I have plenty of people here who want to ask questions, and our goal is to give everyone that opportunity to do so. And so we ask, again, that you be respectful of the process. Thank you so very much. That's all right. That's okay.
We hear you.
Thank you.
Period. Hi, my name is Khalil Booker. I guess I'm affiliated. Y'all don't know. All right, I go to Fontbonne University. Admittedly, I'm a county brownie. I'm from Ferguson, Missouri, so sorry. I'm actually here because even though I don't reside in the city, have never resided in the city, I think it's very important that the city gets all the resources kind of first, and I think eventually it'll trickle out. Sorry if I offended anybody. To my two questions or comments or concerns, it won't be answered here. I'll be patient. Really is just how can the public support this process outside of the meetings, outside of like commenting online? How can we support the members of the commission to make sure that the work is getting done along the process over the next year? And then two, just wanting to make sure, this is a little awkward because you came for the schools, the religious institutions, but how can college students, specifically the Black college students in the area, support the commission's efforts along the way? And if there's future partnerships to make sure that there's people that you could reach out to. I think it's important that Black students in the area, whether they're from St. Louis or not, are giving back to the community while they're here. And so, yeah, I'll be looking forward to the answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Blake Strode. I am a resident of the new 10th Ward, and I'm Executive Director of Arch City Defenders. And I'm really excited to see this event come together tonight. I know that many people have worked for a very long time to make it possible to have this kind of commission in St. Louis. And I'm familiar with the recent efforts, but I know it has been generations, and we heard some of that tonight. So it really does make me quite thrilled to see this effort getting off the ground and many people who I know and respect on that stage. I wanted to say a few specific things. One is really responding to the point earlier about the urgency of this. And I heard Ms. Perkins use the phrase modern day slavery a few times. And it really brought to mind for me just earlier today, Freedom Community Center, and a lot of those folks are in the room, had an event down at the courthouse and watched some arraignments happening in real time. And the imagery of Black people in chains being hauled in front of judges and in front of lawyers and having their humanity debated out in public, that happens every single day in St. Louis. And so when people talk about modern day slavery, we really don't have to go very far to see that. And I think that that's something we have to keep in our minds as we move through this process and bring that kind of passion every moment in the work around reparations. The second thing I wanted to say is that, and I think we've heard this a little bit too, we've heard some about housing, we've heard about minority contractors, we've heard about local issues, national issues. I really hope that we take a very capacious view of reparations here, and that yes, we start thinking about enslavement and the vestiges of enslavement here in St. Louis, but there are so many permutations and manifestations of racism and anti-Blackness in St. Louis. And I really hope we talk about housing. I hope we talk about jobs. I hope we talk about the criminal legal system. I hope we talk about homelessness. Every single one of these, I think Ohun made this point, that you can't turn over a rock and not see white supremacy and the vestiges of racism here. And then the last point I wanted to make is just that I really hope that we aren't limited by scarcity in this process. Because so often when we talk about reparations, we hear people say, well, it's just not possible. We can't possibly make it right. And I hope that we start by dreaming big and then making that possible at the end of the day. What is actually owed, that's what should determine our actions in this process. So I'm sorry I went over 2 minutes, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking the opportunity for the questions. One thing I remember being a lifelong resident of the city of St. Louis, that when I first saw the Post Dispatch do a segment on the disparity in lending in mortgage loans in the city for those of us of color. And so I can get with the bewilderment when we have such data so readily at hand. I mean, it's not like sometimes we think, is it a conspiracy theory? Is this something, you're trying to get something for nothing? But when you look back and we can produce the data for the disparity in mortgage lending, when you can get a loan for a $35,000 car, but you can't get a $20,000 home improvement loan in the city of St. Louis. When the data can say that in North City, it's only been 7 awarded mortgages in the last 10 years. Make that make sense. So I would hope that, and especially when we look around at the deterioration of our community, and then even trying to get some contractors to come in and do the work, it's like it's a joke. And so not only the disparity in lending, even when you're trying to rebuild. So I hope these are serious things that you take into consideration, because if we rebuild the community and if we support our law enforcement and our communities, if there are the programs like the diversion program, the Circuit Attorney's Office is talking about, I would like to think we would look into that, because a lot of this systemic stuff, it goes hand in hand. It goes hand in hand. It's just like a whole body. You know, I stand at home with 2 feet, 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 whatever. You know, all of this stuff go hand in hand with the systemic racism that is unfortunately continuing. But I'm gonna leave it there. You know, I would like the home deal addressed, because especially when we have the data to prove we're not making it up, we're not snatching it out there.
Can you share your name for me?
Speaking of mine, yeah.
Oh, I'm Denise Chisholm Butler with Rachel O'Neill House Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization that we did, but that's something that I'm doing on my own, out of my pocket. Since I retired from the United States Postal Service, I was a manager for the federal government. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good
my
evening.
My name is Deborah Ellis, and I am an MSW, and I work for housing options provided for the elderly. I wanted to add that we need specificity on actual ethnicity data, because a lot of it will disclose what's actually going on in the city of St. Louis. Without specificity, it will turn into just a discriminatory thing without it being specified. So descendants of slaves should be specified, in my opinion, some kind of way beyond African American. So we can actually see what the data looks like for people that actually descended from chattel slavery. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there others?
Hi, my name is Ty. I'm the 6th Ward Committeeman, Tar Grove East. I'm also an instructor of data science at Washington University. I would just like to urge the commission to keep the data and the wealth gap in Black versus white communities that we see in St. Louis in mind, and to echo what Mr. Shreve said, to be bold in our solutions and try to achieve solutions that keep that discrepancy in mind and try to bridge that gap as much as a local municipality can, to think outside the box to solutions and bring more holistic solutions, not just looking at things like development, but trying to bring as much solutions to the people as we can. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Faith Sandler. I live in Skinker-DeVolver, and I am also the executive director of the Scholarship Foundation of St. Louis, which is located right inside the city limits. I just want to recommend that the commission not let off the hook, not just the Catholic institutions in our region, but philanthropy and other nonprofit organizations in the accountability we should have towards contributing to reparations in a community, especially where we are perpetuating white supremacy culture every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Karen Greer. I am a North City resident. I moved out to the county and I came back to be a stakeholder, community leader, and an advocate for the city of St. Louis. I'm sorry, the North City, St. Louis, O'Fallon neighborhood. I am a business owner. I just formed a nonprofit to help with the resources that was taken away from the community in North City. I don't know if anyone is familiar with the Team 4 plan, and with the 2019 video on YouTube, there's a 4-part series called The Benign Neglect, where they purposely neglected the people of North City, St. Louis. And I'm glad that this reparations committee has been formed to help us heal, but we need a mental healing piece to that. There's a lot of people that have been affected by that, not only financially, but mentally. And I'm here to do my part and bring a collective group of residents and business owners together so that we can stand and be economically empowered, mentally empowered as well. So there's a lot of healing that needs to take place. Also with that, I want to make sure with all the crime and the neglect that we've been enduring, we also been enduring the gas stations and the owners that are taking from our community and contributing to crime that we have been redlined because of the effects of that. So I am one of those residents, business owners, family, friend that want to see this reparations actually happen. Thank you. The name of our foundation is Angels Within Foundation, located in the O'Fallon.
Organization since 2001. I also had a business, Ocean Sun Home Excavating and Demolition. I didn't go to for a mayor. They implemented that program in 1973 and went to the table in 1970, but it was all about old North St. Louis. It was never about North St. Louis. It was never about West Side. Never. Now, all of this that they go, I'm 70 years old. And if you can't go back 55 years with me, you don't have to do about the youth. Know that.
Are there others who would like to offer questions or perspective, your perspective on reparations this evening? Well, we want to take this opportunity and thank everyone who shared with us tonight.
We thank you all again for attending and for giving your very transparent and passionate perspectives and for offering the questions for us to consider that we will address at the next public meeting. And we also, if you have additional questions that should come up after this meeting, ask that you refer to the flyer that lists an email address right now for Vernon Mitchell, and he will get to the commission any questions, follow-up that you have, anything that you want us to consider as well, in addition to the public comments that were offered tonight. We hear you. Please don't think we don't, we do. And so we are here to do what we can to put forth the recommendations that will be best for the city of St. Louis. That being said, the next public meeting will be held here at Harris Stowe again on Monday, May 22nd at 6 p.m. And we do ask if you can attend, that you do attend. All of our meetings will be public and will be held once a month. And we will also live stream our meetings as well. Thank you.
So at this time, we're going to give each member of the commission just a closing remarks in response to what we heard today, and then we'll wrap up the day and head out. So we'll start at that end. Can we repeat names? I'm sorry, did you say something? Oh, repeat our names. Introduce yourself.
I am Delisha George. I am a city resident. I'm a city native, very proud of St. Louis, flaws and all. And I thank you all again for attending tonight and for sharing with us your perspective. And I look forward to working on behalf of this commission and the city.
Hi, I'm David Cunningham. I would echo Delisha and my fellow commissioners here. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you for being here. This process comes down to us from the mayor, but our process is really bottom up, and everything we're doing is really centering on what you all are bringing. So we really appreciate being able to hear from you and hope we'll continue to do that throughout the year.
Hi everyone, my name is Jada Brooks. I am a youth ministry leader. I'm a mental health advocate, and I do attend the illustrious Harris Stowe State University. And I do want to thank you all for coming out today and assure you that your voices have been heard and that we will do the best that we can to get those questions answered and to make reparations for our city. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kim Franks. I'm an attorney, business owner. I'm a St. Louis transplant, but to the rest of the world, I am from St. Louis. I'm so happy to be here as the stakeholder and to be participating in this process with you. I appreciate all the history, all the generational input that came tonight, and for everyone tapping us on our shoulders and making sure that as part of this process, that we all are going to be going through it together, that we're looking at every angle, overturning each stone. So I won't be with you all next month. but I haven't forgotten you. I'll be out of the country, but I look forward to hearing how things go. Hope you all stay engaged and bring some friends and neighbors with you next time. Thank you.
I'm Reverend Kevin D. Anthony. I am a resident of St. Louis, born here, grew up in the Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood, and graduate of Vashon. And so I am excited about this work because I've seen some of that struggle that many of you expressed this evening. And so I'm really excited about leaning into the work to make sure that your voices are heard. And that's why I think it's important that now that you've been to the first meeting, that you bring your friends with you, family with you, because you have the power and we need you behind us at the end of the day. And so thank you for coming out tonight. Look forward to seeing you in May. Blessings to you.
Okay, my name is Gwen Moore, and like everyone else, I want to thank you for coming so much. It's deeply appreciated. I am a resident of North St. Louis. Before I was a resident of North St. Louis, I was a resident of Mill Creek, a neighborhood that was destroyed in 1959, wiped off the face of the earth, and we were scattered with no planning, no concern, no interest, no compassion, no nothing. So I'm very much committed to studying the history of Black St. Louis and some of the wrongs that have been done to Black St. Louis, which are many. I'm still open. I want to study this, and I want to say that I've really been energized by the things that I've heard tonight, very much so. So thank you again so much.
Hello, everyone again. I am William Foster. I'm a city resident, stay right downtown. I'm eager to be a part of this commission. I'm ready to learn, grow, and have the difficult conversations necessary to help with this process. Again, thank you all for coming out.
I'm Dr. Will Ross. I want to let you know how personally committed I am to this process. I've been studying and working on health disparities in this city for 34 years. I know some of the determinants of those disparities. I know about the Team 4 report and so many other reports that have been shelved. I've read those reports, and now I'm anxious to see something happen, to see true restorative justice in this city as we actually begin to reduce those inequities that I've seen over the past 3 decades.
My name is Kayla Reed. I didn't say my day title, but I'm the Executive Director of Action St. Louis. And beyond that, I'm a St. Louis native, and I love everything about St. Louis because I love how it shaped me into the person I am. And I tell people I grew up on a street called DeSoto, and I lived next in College Hill, and I lived in the house next to the gate to Highway 70. And I always wondered why I lived in the house to the gate next to a highway. And then I grew up and learned about urban renewal and the plan to drive white folks around the Black neighborhoods as Y70 cuts around North City. And I've studied and read a lot and learned a lot and lived a lot. And once you start to sort of, the data and the research connects to your personal experience, it lights a fire. And so I'm deeply grateful for each of you that spoke. I took a page of notes. I'm most excited to spend the year with Miss Josephine Perkins. I'm very excited to continue to learn that. And I do just want to acknowledge that organizations like Action St. Louis, Arch City Defenders, and the work that has been happening over the last few years to get this commission is standing on the shoulders of such giants who still live amongst us, who have worked for decades to make this conversation relevant, who have always fought for Black people in this city. And I'm grateful that we get to go through this process together. The last thing I'll say is I'm deeply, deeply committed to the conversation of reparations because I'm deeply committed to the project of building Black political power and what that means to restore communities and what that means to tell the truth out loud and not allow where you live to determine what you will have. And I think this process is going to be a step in the right direction. We will deliver recommendations, and it's going to take all of us to make that report a truth-telling document. And I think St. Louis has a role to play in the rest of the country in telling the truth about what the city, what has happened in this city to our people for so long. So on behalf of this commission, which I'm so excited to work with for the next year, we would like to again say thank you for spending your Monday evening with us. We hope to see you at the next meeting. We would like to again thank Harrisville State University for making space, all the staff that stayed on the clock until 8 p.m. to make this happen. And we will reconvene and continue this process next month. Please stay in touch between then. Next month, we will hopefully have the working groups established so that folks can actually join that. This is the commission, but you are all a part of the larger ecosystem of hands that will have to come together to make this happen. So please have a blessed evening, travel safely, and we will see you next time.